Hey guys, it's Zack Attack here. Today we're going to be talking about this guy, Earthling Ed. So if you don't know who he is, he's basically like a vegan. He's basically the vegan final boss. He's basically like the cult leader. Apparently I have not talked about this guy on my channel yet. Back in like early 2023, I was making like a bunch of videos on vegans. But for whatever reason I didn't make a video on him. So that's what I'm going to do now. So this is basically his website, I guess. So he's basically a a author basically. And he writes books like about like veganism and stuff. Nobody really cares except vegans. It's just a bunch of bullshit, like how vegans are like morally superior and stuff like that. He made two books. One of them is called Vegan Propaganda, which I mean that's basically what it is. And he made another one called How to Argue with a Meat Eater and Win Every Time. So anyway, let's get right into this. So we basically made this video exposing the homesteading craze. So basically, if you don't know what homesteading is, it's basically like kind of like making your own food, like raising your own animals, like growing your own crops, things like that. I would say it's probably more ethical than like factory farming. So you may think, he won't have a problem with that, right? But you'll be wrong.
Hello, good morning. It is butcher day on the homestead, and we are getting ready to butcher about 55 Cornish cross hens. So let's go get the chickens and get set up. These are restraining hounds. It's like a hug for the chicken. So it's compressing against them like a hug, making them feel safe and secure.
So I don't know if you guys have come across homesteading videos on social media. Homesteading has become a really popular trend across platforms like TikTok and Instagram, and these homesteaders portray this way of life as being a really simple and connected and peaceful and compassionate way
I mean, it's more ethical than like factory farming and stuff. Even you have to agree with that.
of living and producing food. However, there is another side to this narrative which I want to discuss in today's video. Now, it's easy to understand the appeal of producing your own food. However, beneath the romanticized portrayal of backyard eggs and home-raised meat is actually a dark web of incompetency, narcissism, and violence, which actually sustains the very cycles of harm that homesteaders claim they're trying
this
to
is basically what it is. He's basically a self-righteous asshole. That's basically who this guy is.
address. Now, of course, you could be a plant-based homesteader and decide not to exploit animals, but in today's video, we're going to be looking at those who would rather have more than just soil on their hands. Because homesteaders may talk about wanting to make sure that the animals have a nice life.
Yeah, they do care, though. They do care about their animals. Yeah, they obviously kill them at the end. They obviously do make sure they have like the best life. It's not like factory farms.
Compassionate death, but humans homestead for themselves, not for the animals. They homestead because of how it makes them feel. Homesteading is also often portrayed.
No, really? No, I thought they did it for the animals. I had no idea.
As a rejection of the fakery, materialism of modern society. It's a return to our oh so humble.
This motherfucker really talks like a 16th century poet.
Simple roots, producing food ourselves. And yet the complete irony in all of this is the privilege that often goes hand in hand with people who homestead. I mean, think about it.
Privilege, bro. You're privileged as fuck. You're really rich as fuck. Like, what are you talking about, privilege?
You have to be able to own a plot of land.
Yeah, you have to have actually like money. You have to have money to own a plot of land. Yeah, and raise animals and grow crops and shit.
to live off a plot of land, to have the time to produce your own food, to have the financial independence to be able to do so. Most people who are living in cities and who have jobs and who have bills to pay and who have careers to fulfill do not necessarily have the desire to homestead, let alone the capability of homesteading. But it also overlooks a very simple practicality issue, which is it's just not possible to feed a growing population of people in homestead environments because homesteads are an inefficient way of producing food. Let's take ballerina farmers.
People only do it for themselves, so it's not inefficient when they only do it for themselves.
As an example, ballerina farm is this very simple, humble homestead. It is a very small 328 acres, and it is owned by the son of the founder of the airline JetBlue and this son's wife. Because to me, nothing screams simplistic living, humble homesteading, like massive amounts of generational
massive, you know what else is massive? Low taper faith.
Wealth on 328 acres of land. But the thing is, Ballerina Farm is arguably the most popular homesteading example that exists currently on social media. However, before we dive any deeper into this subject and start to react to some videos...
Literally nobody cares about your sponsor.
Compliment is also offering 15% off of their products when you guys use the code ED15, so if you're interested, make sure to click the link in my description. Alright, let's get back to the video at hand, but a huge thank you to Compliment for partnering with me on today's video.
People always ask us, how do you take care of an animal just so that you butcher it and then put it into your freezer? 99% of the chickens that are raised for meat here in the United States are factory farm chickens. So when you ask me how we can do it, when you go to the grocery store, that's what you are supporting.
One of the most obvious and clear problems related with animal-based homesteading is the flawed logic that these people use to ethically justify what they're doing to animals. Just because it's possible to do something...
See, this is the thing that really annoys me, right? Is that these homesteaders are like, yeah, they're like, oh, it's more ethical than like factory farming. But like, if you don't homestead, like they're not all like, you know, it's the vegans. They're like, oh yeah, if you eat meat, you're a piece of shit. Like homesteaders aren't like that. Like they don't like, yeah, they promote their lifestyle or whatever, right? They're not like dicks about it.
Something in a less harmful way does not therefore ethically justify what it is that you're doing. I mean, there are a variety of ways that one could traffic humans, but just because you could traffic humans in a less harmful way...
I'm done with this shit, bro. It's fucking, like, oh, animals are the same as humans. Like, shut the fuck up.
Does not make that form of human trafficking morally justified. You're still doing the fundamentally immoral thing. So just because pigs and chickens might have more space in a homestead environment does not therefore ethically justify exploiting and killing these animals. These people are not begrudgingly raising and killing animals. They're not just distraught that they are having to slaughter animals, but doing so because it's the most compassionate and ethical thing to do. They're not stuck in this moral bind where they're going, oh, I really hate homesteading, but it's the right thing.
This motherfucker is really like, he has a whole ass shelf with a bunch of his books. Like, literally nobody cares, bro.
To do ethically. No. That's not what's happening here. These people are not taking a principled stand against factory farming by slaughtering animals directly themselves. And this is what's really deceptive and manipulative about homesteading. It frames this way of life, or these people frame this way of living as being some sort of altruistic and benevolent thing. That they frame themselves as these caregivers to animals who are operating in these incredibly principled ways and doing so because of the goodness of their own hearts.
If your ultimate goal is to get to the place where you can raise and process your own animals to eat, then I think that's great, and I really hope that you can get there. Starting small and remind yourself where your heart needs to be. We like to always send our animals on with a silent gratitude prayer. Here's an interesting thing, the animals is for any animal that we have forgotten to do the silent thank you prayer, the passing was not as peaceful. I think that these animals are gifting us the sustenance of their bodies. And I think that that needs to be acknowledged, and we need to have gratitude.
This is the height of human arrogance, believing that a symbolic and meaningless gesture can transform a cruel and violent act into a virtuous and compassionate one. She is not a...
Like, this is a motherfucker who's literally like, bro, you literally remind me of that episode of South Park where Kyle's dad gets like an electric car or whatever, and he becomes like very smug. That episode literally reminds me of this guy.
Killer. No. She's not an oppressor, of course not. She is instead a gatekeeper. She's able
such a self-righteous asshole. Like,
to channel compassion and love through the killing that she inflicts upon these animals, and they offer their lives as a generous donation because of the compassion and love that they are receiving from this person who is killing them. I mean, how twisted, how sick, how irreverent, how wrong to kill animals and then to be so arrogant that you think that you praying for them means that they are offering their lives to you. How deeply disturbing is that? To think that you have the right and the power and the
This guy.
authority to kill, to slaughter, to bleed these animals to death. I cannot fathom for a second that animals are dying and people are slitting the throats of these animals and then easing their guilty conscience because they're praying for these animals.
Yo, bro, just fucking cry about it, dude. Fucking cry about it. Our homesteaders are disconnected from reality. How are they disconnected from reality? They know you have to kill the animal. Like, they're aware of that. How they view killing? Like,
and through their arrogance and narcissism, they think that these animals...
arrogance and narcissism. Bro, you're literally just projecting right now. You are literally projecting.
Are grateful that they're making their death more palatable to her because she has prayed for them. Homesteaders are particularly prone to spreading this narcissistic, self-righteous, and egotistical...
Yo, that's literally you. That is literally you, bro. You guys are you vegans are literally the most self-righteous assholes there are.
Drivel that is just further trivializing the needless violence that has been inflicted upon animals. They appeal to a form of tyrannical spiritual hierarchy where they believe that they've been granted some divine and moral right to own the bodies of others and to slaughter them unnecessarily just because they want to. And they think that doing so fulfills or maintains some kind of cosmic governance. And in their nauseating delusions of grandeur, they have the audacity to claim that their merciless and violent actions are actually signs of compassion and benevolence. These people are dictators over animals. They are so
dictators over animals.
Drunk on the perception that they have of themselves, that they think that the animals who they are subjugating should be grateful for the subjugation that has been inflicted upon them. These animals do not need this lady's prayers. They need her to stop exploiting and killing them.
I really don't care, man.
Animals in general need us humans to stop elevating ourselves to the position of demigods who therefore have some ethical right to own
really
their
projecting. This guy's projecting so hard right now.
Time you spend with them, do not bond with the animal that you are going to be butchering. Do not do that. You care for them, but you don't love them.
Not only is disassociation from the killing often encouraged in the animal-based homesteading community, but sometimes it's often viewed as essential, especially for homesteaders who are starting out.
It is, yeah. I mean, you do have to kill the animal. I mean, I know it's more ethical than factory farm. I mean, you do have to kill it at the end of the day. Like, they just do it in better ways. Like,
what's interesting is many homesteaders talk about the difficulty that arises at the beginning. And so these people who are killing animals regularly, the more you kill animals, the easier it gets. But what's telling is often right at the beginning, that's when it's hardest. Or indeed...
he's going to make it seem like they enjoy killing the animals. Like, they don't. It just needs to be done. Oh.
often when there's children involved, which is why homesteaders often talk about getting their children to name the animals who they're going to eat after the food these animals are going to become, like crispy or bacon or nugget. I mean, the irony is striking. Homesteaders often accuse consumers of being so disconnected from their food. You don't know the reality of food production, and yet homesteaders
That's
will
literally you, bro. That is literally you. Like, stop projecting.
use the same tactics that consumers do. They will trick themselves, lie to themselves, con themselves, manipulate themselves. They will use language to obfuscate the truth. They will
That's
use
literally what you do, but okay.
irrational justifications to try and ease
You know
their
what,
cognitive.
I've had enough of this shit. I'm actually gonna end it here. So remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content.